BYU Sports Play-by-Play. I am Spencer Linton. That is Jerem Jordan. And the questions that you just presented, you also presented to our good friend from ESPN, Trevor Matich.
That's exactly right. Conversation about Arizona State. Not much about South Florida. Lots to discuss. Here's my conversation earlier today with Trevor Matich. Trevor, 3-0 for BYU, ranked 15th. Life's good right now for BYU.
Life is awesome. Enter into the Big 12 coming up in a couple of years. 3-0 against 3 Power 5 teams. I don't think there's any other team in the country that's 3-0 right now against all Power 5. 2 of them ranked at the time they played them. And so if you're a BYU fan, right now is a time for tremendous hope, and the team is validating that hope.
Okay, we'll talk about the 12-0 kind of discussion in a second, but first, let's break down this game. This was an Arizona State team that was ranked 19th, brought in a lot of speed, Jaden Daniels. BYU's defense again shows up, a sub-20 allowed performance again, and BYU gets the win with some real drama late.
There was drama late, and I'll tell you, the defense did what they had to do. You're right about this Arizona State team. They had almost everybody coming back. They've got NFL guys all over that roster, coached by an NFL staff, and they've got lots of speed, lots of playmakers, and the BYU defense did a good job of not letting them break loose, especially their quarterback, Jaden Daniels, who is a true star in the Pac-12. He normally averages just under 100 yards per game rushing. He was held way below that by the BYU defense. He wasn't able to affect drives with his legs the way he normally does. That's one of the reasons that while Arizona State moved the ball between the 20s, BYU was able to clamp down and keep them from converting yards into touchdowns. So that the defense was just absolutely magnificent in this game against a truly dangerous, explosive offense, as we will see as Arizona State goes through the rest of their season.
Yeah, you look at the, the net 8 yards rushing for Daniels, which was pretty shocking. Okay, let's talk about the influence of penalties on this game, too. Arizona State had 16, including 4 false starts on one drive. The BYU student section, the Rock was amazing in that corner of the end zone. Arizona State was pretty undisciplined, but I feel like the crowd had a massive impact on this game. What did you see?
The crowd was magnificent. I mean, these are a bunch of people that largely are reverent on Sundays, not so much on Saturdays. They went, and it was great. And the thing is, every time there was a false start on Arizona State, it egged on the crowd. It got them even more fired up because they knew that they were influencing the outcome of this game. I mean, there was that fourth quarter drive where I think they had 4 false starts in the same drive. And that was massive because BYU was hanging on to a lead at that time. Now, part of that was the crowd. Most of it was the crowd. But let's also look at the big picture of Arizona State. Because of the nature of COVID last year, for them and for everybody, they didn't play in front of a big crowd. So the offense never had to work with super crowd noise. Now, you try to deal with that in practice by playing super loud music or white noise or something that would make it so you can't hear the quarterback. But it's different when you are in a game situation, because in a game situation, it's not just loud like you can make it in practice with speakers. You can feel the noise like you're at a rock concert standing in front of the speaker. It reverberates through your body. It's actually a physical response. And so that combined with the fact that you can't hear, combined with the fact that it's been over a year since any of those guys have dealt with this in a game, BYU crowd had an outsized influence on what Arizona State was doing. And keep this in mind, too, that this was a Pac-12 officiating crew. Arizona State was not home cooked on those penalties.
Yeah, it was gnarly. 16 of them in all, which was pretty crazy. And BYU gets the win. Play of the game, maybe the play of the decade. I don't know, maybe a top 10 play in BYU history. It was incredible. Tyler Algeier, after an interception from Jaron Hall, chases down a man, grabs his left shoulder, punches the ball out like he's Captain America or something, and Jaron Hall, by the way, hustles down and recovers it. That was one of the greatest plays I've ever seen. I know you loved it too. You said as much on Twitter.
I did. I said that might be the greatest forced fumble in college football history. Might be, because I haven't seen every forced fumble in college football history. But certainly I don't think it's hyperbole to say that it's up there with them. Because first of all, of the time of the game, the impact of the game, that would have been a pick 6 that Arizona State would have taken the lead with, right? And so it changed momentum, but also the nature of it. Tyler Algeier is a big running back. He had a lot of ground to make up to catch the guy who was running for the end zone. On the right sideline, he jumped up on his back And then while holding himself up there with one arm, he had his sideline side arm. Punched that ball out, a massive Braveheart-style punch, and knocked the ball not just out, but into the field of play where his guys would have a chance to recover it. And they did. Jaron Hall never quit on the play after throwing the interception, and he went down there and jumped on that fumble. And so it was a massive impact play for BYU that stopped a massive impact play by the Sun Devils. And the fact that all those things came together for Tyler Algeier, the fact that he made up all that ground, that he rode the guy on his back, that he punched the ball intentionally back into the field of play, and that the guy who originally threw the interception that would have been a pick six recovers the fumble. That to me is outstanding. And I'll tell you this, it made me think of Kyle Morrell going over the Hawaii line at the goal line, inverted, grabbing Rafael Cherry's jersey on the back of his nameplate, their quarterback, because he was trying to score a touchdown during our national championship run. Now, he is inverted, Kyle Morrell is. He's upside down. He has got the back of the nameplate, and as he comes down on the ground on the Hawaii side of the line, he pulled the quarterback back so he couldn't score on that quarterback sneak. They were held to a field goal on that drive. If it would have been a touchdown, we might have lost that game, probably would have lost that game, and the national championship would not have been. So that was, up until this point, the greatest defensive play I've ever seen, certainly by BYU. This one by Tyler Algeier is right up there with it.
And it's a little interesting that a defensive play made by an offensive player, and we'll see, it's a great play, no doubt, but the context of the play will increase in history's eye if this season goes really well. So let's talk about it. BYU's 3-0, way ahead of schedule. I think ambitious fans were calling for 2-1 in the first three. Now BYU's in business. South Florida this week, Utah State after that, Boise State, Baylor. It gets tougher. It gets a little easier this week, but it gets tougher later too. Is it too early to talk 12-0 at this point, Trevor?
It is too early for the team. The team needs to be focused on this rep in this practice drill. That's it. If the team focuses on the big picture, they're going to lose the focus that got them to 3-0. And they know that, and they will focus on the moment. But from a fan standpoint, not too early at all. I mean, it seemed insurmountable to win 3 Power 5 games, 2 of them teams that were ranked at the time BYU played them, and be 3-0 sitting at this spot. It just seemed like, okay, well, that's theoretically possible, but I don't know. Now it's a reality. It's real. And the thing is, the BYU should be favored in every game going forward, except maybe the USC game at the end of the season. Their quarterback, Jackson Dart, backup, came in for Keaton Slovis against Washington State on Saturday and lit it up. And so USC, I think, is going to be a very dangerous team. But there are other dangerous teams, too, that BYU will be favored over. They'll be favored over Boise State, but Boise State is really good. They'll be favored over Baylor, but Baylor can pound the ball, and their defensive coaching mindset is one of the best in college football. I mean, this is still a really tricky, really difficult schedule. But BYU now, from a fan standpoint, it's okay to look at what's in front of the Cougars and think, you know what, we can get to that USC game undefeated. And if we do, it's anybody's game to be undefeated at the end of the regular season. It is a possibility. But once again, let's make sure to differentiate between fans' hope and players' needs.
At what point in 1984 did the team start thinking about the possibility of going undefeated?
You know, we opened up with Pitt, Jerem, and at Pitt, all the way across the country. We're looking at a team that had a whole bunch of NFL guys. They had at least one Heisman candidate, and probably 2. And they were ranked in the top 5, I believe, at the time we played them. And so we weren't thinking anything about undefeated season. We were thinking only about Pitt. We knew we could move the ball. We knew we could interfere with their offense. But to have the hubris to think that, yeah, we're going to beat them and go undefeated, we didn't begin to have that. We had a good professional humility, I think, as we were going out there, and we stayed focused in the moment. But when Adam Haysbert caught that touchdown pass from Robbie Bosco, and we won that game, on the plane home, all of a sudden we started thinking, you know what? Now that we're past that obstacle, we can sweep this thing. And we started thinking that way. Now, we didn't talk about it much, at least I didn't with people. We still stayed focused on the moment. But the possibility became real with the win over Pitt. Just like now, the possibility becomes real for these Cougars going 3-0 against the schedule.
Fun fact, Adam Haysbert's brother is Dennis, the All-State guy, President, Palmer from 24. Fun fact. And then I love professional humility. That's a phrase I'm going to start using. That's a good one, man.
You know, it's what you need, but that's what this culture is. Listen, this BYU culture was forged in the COVID year of last year, where no one knew if they would play. They were the only team west of the Rockies, I think, that were playing for a while. And they had to kind of make it up as they went along. They didn't have a conference to tell them what to do. They were doing things the way that they felt was right based on the science and based on what was best for the team. And the team came together in a way that I've never seen on any team before. I mean, it was astonishing the way these guys took a brotherhood and made it even stronger. And I think that's one of the reasons that they were able to be successful so much at the beginning of this season, is that brotherhood. So I don't think they will elevate their eyes above the moment, which is what they need to focus on, because they won't let each other. They're too focused on their family.
We're talking with ESPN's Trevor Matich, former BYU All-American as well. Trevor, with this schedule and this team, we certainly looked at it and thought, okay, we're going from 0 Power 5s to 7. And if BYU can hang in this schedule, and so far so good, this is certainly a team and program that's ready for the Big 12, where you will play 8 or 9 Power 5 games. There's 7, Power 5s, 3 in the bag, 4 left. Do you feel like BYU can go 3-1 or 4-0 in those? And how tough will it be against Baylor, Virginia, Washington State, and USC?
They certainly have the talent. You know, Baylor has one of the best quarterbacks in the country that people don't talk about in Brennan Armstrong. They are a well-coached, solid team. I mean, Bronco Mendenhall, former BYU coach, Robert Anae, former BYU offensive coordinator, and so many other former BYU coaches on that Virginia staff. They will be recognizable for BYU fans in terms of how they play. A disciplined brand of football, very tough, very physical, a really hard out. And so BYU still has a long way to go. So what do they have to do in order to get there? Well, they've got to stay healthy. I mean, they've got some real injury issues with guys that are either banged up or worse on all 3 levels of the defense. They have had some injury issues on offense. Fortunately, Gunnar Romney is back, and that's a good thing. Jaron Hall should be okay. We'll see how that goes. So first of all, stay healthy. Second of all, really the offense needs to play 4 full quarters. They have done enough to win. They've made some really great plays that look great on the highlight film, but let's not forget that they also have had way too many 3-and-outs. As a matter of fact, after that first short touchdown, after the special teams play gave them that short field, the next 3 drives were 3-and-out for BYU's offense. And on first down, they combined on those 3 drives of 3 yards. That's it. 3 yards combined on 3 first down plays on those 3 3-and-outs. And so the offense needs to do better at getting yards on first down in order to be able to get to where they want to go, because the defense is really playing like crazy. But now with guys banged up a bit, they need to be on the sideline a lot more than they have been on the sideline. The good news is that the offense has the personnel to do it. The offensive line is playing lights out. We know the running back stable is fantastic. The receivers, as they develop chemistry with Jaron Hall in the passing game, will be the difference. It's that chemistry in the passing game to make sure that on first down, they're getting the yards that they need in order to stay even with the chains, and then continue to hit the downfield plays that'll take this offense where it needs to go. So let's not put on BYU the 2019 or LSU offense right now. They're not there yet. What they do have is the ability to build it up. They have the personnel, they have the work ethic, they have the coaches, but now they need to get it on the field, because having so many 3-and-outs is not going to be a formula for winning against the Power 5 teams that remain on this schedule, and against teams like Boise State in the rivalry against Utah State. And
the only good news about a 3-and-out is that BYU rolls out, in my opinion, the best player on the team, Ryan Rico. He punts an 83-yarder, Trevor, the longest punt in BYU history. Rico's 4th in the country right now in punt average. This guy's unbelievable. He's got an NFL leg. I think BYU will be lucky to have him for as long as they have him. He flips the field, and really he's done his defense so much good, because when the offense would get stuffed on those 3-and-outs from time to time and then look really good other times on offense. I'm not saying the offense isn't good. It is. They just need to be more consistent. Then Rico booms those punts, flips the field, and gives the defense a long field to defend. And remember, go back to Arizona State. They had over 400 yards total offense. Arizona State moved the ball. But by not allowing them a lot of huge chunk plays, BYU's defense made Arizona State
be consistent and not get behind the chains. And as they move the ball, then all of a sudden BYU would make a play or Arizona would make a penalty and they would end up off the field or at least not scoring a touchdown. And that happened in part because Rico gave the defense such long fields to defend. I mean, you could make a good case that he's been the MVP of this team so far.
That's quite the statement, especially for a punter, which is awesome. I love it. Trevor, we appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Jeremy.